Welcome back. Once again, it is time for Tech Tips with Nexus IT. They always bring important information that you need to know about for your everyday lives. And here joining us is Earl Foote and John Rose. Thank you, both of you, for being here today.
Good morning, Christine. Thanks for having us on.
Well, before we dig into this very important topic, John, welcome to Park City Television. This is your first time here.
Yes.
We'd love to hear a little bit about what you're doing with Nexus IT.
With Nexus, I'm a sales consultant, and so I meet with potential new clients or existing clients to come up with solutions to combat their trouble spots and pain points within their company when it involves their IT.
And Earl, you've been working hard, creating a great team. The company is growing. Things are happening.
Yeah, couldn't be happier with where we're at and the momentum we have. And yeah, the team and the business is growing quick. And it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun.
It's been a big year.
It has been, absolutely, yes.
And we very much appreciate all of your tips and useful information right here on Park City Television. And today we're talking about something very important that's in the news, just hit the news cycle this week, in fact, and that's the T-Mobile breach. So tell me what we need to know about that.
Yeah, it was confirmed Monday that there has been a breach of T-Mobile data. Of course, T-Mobile is playing their cards and they're taking their time, saying that they're investigating the extent of the breach, which the forensic process takes time, right? And so they are trying to figure out the depth of the breach. But what we do know is that it is confirmed by a third party that about 100 million records that belong to T-Mobile clients have been posted for sale on the dark web. They are selling those 100 million records for $280,000. And those records include everything from name, address, phone number, date of birth, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, the IMEI numbers for the phones, and that is a unique identifier for each phone, as well as the security pins for the phones. So with that IMEI and security pin and all that other information, bad actors could do a lot of bad things with all that information. It's quite unfortunate, the situation, really.
100 million, the numbers are very alarming. Who needs to be concerned about this? Current T-Mobile customers, past customers, and T-Mobile also has other, they work with other cell companies. Who needs to be most concerned here?
Yeah, and that it's too early in the process really to know for sure if it's only existing customers or past customers. Of course, T-Mobile acquired Sprint, and T-Mobile, is the network for a ton of other smaller carriers that sell budget plans, that you pick up at big box stores, the prepaid cards and all that kind of stuff. And so, honestly, it's not known yet to what extent that affects anybody that is not a current actual T-Mobile customer, but the likelihood that it affects, beyond that is very high.
And John, when you hear of yet another breach, there's been many, it seems, over the past year. What are you concerned about, and the people that you work with, what are their issues that they come to you with?
Anytime that there is a data breach, obviously we have not necessarily dealt with the companies that deal with the breaches that they've had on the scale that they experience, and T-Mobile not being a client of ours, we're not dealing with it. But obviously the major concern is what information do the individuals have that have procured the data? How are they going to use that information? Who are they going to sell it to? And so the concern of the customers runs the gamut. And obviously, as a parent of children who, and myself, we all have smartphones. Thank goodness. None of us are on T-Mobile or ever have been on T-Mobile, but all those same concerns that clients bring up to me that we try to mitigate and put in measures to prevent anything like this from happening, they all come to the forefront of my mind, and they're the same concerns. How is this data going to be used, and how is it going to be used against me? And so yeah, that's typically the crux of the concerns that we deal with on a day-to-day basis with our clients. as we try to build plans for them.
And Earl, since we don't know exactly whose information is at risk, it's being sold right now, concerning for many people, especially current customers of T-Mobile, but do you recommend just best practices or going in and changing everything? What should they do if they're concerned to kind of maybe preemptively help this?
If you're a T-Mobile customer or have been in the past, or you use one of those budget carriers, right, a prepaid carrier, I would, as soon as possible, change the password associated with your account, change your security PIN, the PIN you use to access your account or your voicemail. And if you use a similar password on any other accounts, the same or a similar password, I would go change that password as well. It's entirely possible that hackers have hold of passwords at this point, and if you use that same password on your Gmail account or your Apple account, they will go looking for that stuff and trying the same password or variations of the password on other prominent accounts, and so it's really easy and likely that they can breach multiple accounts with that information, right?
But it's so convenient to have the same password.
Right?
It's interesting because I had this thought last night. When we grew up in school, we always had fire drills, earthquake drills. We always had a plan of what to do in case something happened. And you think about today with the data and the lack of, it's surprising to me actually, the lack of plans that not only companies, but obviously we as individuals, we don't have, because we don't think about something like this happening. We may hear about it, but it's always going to happen to someone else. Not, we're small enough, or why would anybody want my data, or why would anybody want my information? And because of that, I don't think anybody has come through and said, okay, you need to have a plan. But we do talk with a lot of our clients about that today. What is your plan? And that is the most important part, because it's not a question of if, it's when. When is your data going to be breached, and how? What are the steps that you take when that happens, so that you're not scratching your head going, okay, now what? What do we do? Well, we're in panic mode. But if you have that laid out plan, which is a lot of what we do now at Nexus IT, is set up those plans. And furthermore, I think that individuals, it would be smart to have in the back of their mind a plan. If my data is breached, if this happens on my laptop, on my cell phone, what is my plan? And step by step go through, so that you don't panic, and so it's a very organized, this is what I need to do, and to mitigate the situation.
You make an excellent point. You're right. We prepare for so many other disasters. And now with our entire lives being online, we need to absolutely be prepared. And there's so many things. You mentioned changing passwords, but also when you think about people potentially having your social security number, your driver's license, there's other things you can do to help track that and stay on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend that people sign up for credit monitoring services. You can, with a service like Credit Karma, for example, you can check to see if your information has been breached in this breach or any other breach. Now, it will take probably several weeks before before you can check on websites like Credit Karma whether or not your information was breached in this T-Mobile breach, but you can check for past breaches as well. So being aware, if your data has been breached is certainly important. And just keeping an eye, if you're a T-Mobile customer right now, and T-Mobile is likely to give you credit monitoring for a year if your information was breached in this situation, but that's going to be several weeks down the road. But you need to watch your credit. You need to make sure that new accounts aren't being opened in your name, that nothing weird shows up on your credit cards or any of your financial accounts. You just kind of, for a year or more, you need to really kind of be vigilant about it. And you need to know, particularly, you need to be looking out right now for phishing campaigns, vishing campaigns, so voice scams, because with all of that information, they can easily launch scams against you or against your contact list. The important thing to know is that with that IMEI, and security PIN, they can also bypass measures like multi-factor authentication. So they can go open up new accounts in your name. They can access your bank account and stuff like that by using, spoofing that IMEI and the security PIN. So that's why I would recommend change your security PINs right now, as soon as possible, and your passwords.
And hearing about yet another data breach, John, we're out of time, but you mentioned Nexus IT can help individuals. I know you feel a lot of anxiety, you're concerned, but that's what you're there for, to keep security top of mind.
Right. We help both companies and individuals come up with a plan on how, when that does happen, how they're going to remedy the situation. Obviously, with the support and help of Nexus IT, through backup and through ability for us to essentially shut down a system, wipe it, and then bring it back on board with all of their previous information so that they don't lose anything and business can continue as usual.
It's very important. It's the best place to reach out to Nexus.
Yeah, website nexusitc.net or at our local number 435-487-9099.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. Very important information.
Thank you.
All right, you can reach Nexus IT online. Give them a call if you're feeling concerned about this recent T-Mobile breach. They gave us great up-to-date information about what you need to do. Also, don't hesitate to reach out to them to find out how you can be secure with everything online, with your business, with your personal, with all of those things. We'll be back with more here on Mountain Connections right after this.